Hello, my name is Amanda Jenkinson. I'm the Technical Training and Support Specialist here at CRS. Thank you for joining me for this transition webinar. This class is specifically a comparison between the old product and the new. I'll spend the next 45 minutes or so going over all the new features and functionality that we have to offer in your new tax suite. I'll start with the simple search. This is your home page or landing page within CRS. You're still going to access CRS from the Georgia MLS website, going to Tools and click on CRS. That will open CRS up in a new window, bringing you to your landing page or simple search page within the new system. As you can see, there's a new sleeker, more dynamic design. You'll find the tax suite is much more mobile friendly and intuitive. You still have all the same functionality as before. We may have just moved things around a little bit. We've certainly added some great new features and functionality. We've moved the tabs on your interface around slightly. If you scroll to the bottom of your simple search page, you have the Contact Us, Feedback, and Data Currency. Those are going to be located at the bottom of every screen throughout the system. The Contact Us tab is just your technical support at Georgia MLS, the phone number and email address. The Feedback tab is an email template set up to go straight to support. And then you have your Data Currency tab. We've also moved your Message Center to the bottom of the page, so check that at your convenience for any new enhancements or messages that we have posted. Your Help tab, which is actually very helpful now. We've spent a lot of time working on this. When you click on Help, you're going to get screenshots that will default to the page that you came to the Help tab from. You can click on Help Topics again, and you'll get a breakdown of all the other topics if you wanted to research something else. If you click on Video Tutorials, we have developed 16 short video tutorials. Once you click on the Tutorials tab, you'll click on the white play button. The introduction will automatically begin, and then you can choose from the 16 tutorials on the left. All of these are under 4 minutes, and they're very helpful as you're learning the new system to help you navigate and learn some of the new functionality. Back on your simple search page, you have a new tab at the top right corner. It's called Profile and Settings. This is going to be a place where you can customize several functions throughout the site. It's also a place where you can add your branding. You're seeing my branding in the top left corner. So everything that you print from CRS, a property report, maps, a comparable report, will have all of your information at the top left corner of the page instead of just the CRS logo. To do that, you'll just click on Profile and Settings. You can go down to Branding and then add all of your branding preferences. You can upload a photo if you've got a headshot, whatever photos on your business card or a logo. You're just going to click Upload Photo. We'll choose the koala. And then keep the original. Be sure the box that says Add Branding when printing the property report is checked. And make sure you save your changes before you leave this page. You can use the little arrow at the bottom right corner that will shoot us right back to the top of the screen. And then always use the back button that we provide you. We're always going to give you a way to go back. Just try to avoid the back button in your browser at the top left. Make sure all the changes that you made will stay saved. All of your recently viewed properties and bookmark properties from the old Power Tools will have moved over to the new tax suite. We've just changed the wording on your bookmark properties to saved property reports. Your simple search, a couple of changes made here. You do have to choose one of the 5 fields that we've provided you to do a search. We've added the MLS number as a new way to search for properties in the tax records. You do always have to choose your county, just like before, except now you can choose up to 3 counties to search at once. So if you're not sure if the property is in Gwinnett County or Decatur, now you can search both, and you only have to search that address one time. The default here will always be owner's name. As you start to type into the field, all of the eligible options in that county that match your entry are going to populate in the drop-down box below. You can select the name that you're looking for from the drop-down box and submit, and that will take you directly to the property report. Same thing with street name. If you choose to search by street, you start to enter street number and then the street name. And right away I've got 4 choices that match my entry in both of those counties. I can select the property from the list and click submit, or I can keep typing and I'll only see that one entry in the drop-down box, and that is the property that I'm searching for. All I have to do is click submit at this point or hit enter. So when you see what you're looking for in the drop-down box and that's the only option, all you have to do is click submit. If you're typing and you don't see the drop-down box, that means you're not getting results. So if you don't see a drop-down box and you click submit, you're going to see that no search results were found. You don't need to click submit, because if you don't see a drop-down box, you know that something's wrong. Go back and make sure you're searching in the right field. Be sure that you've selected the correct county, and then of course go back and check for any spelling errors. Could be an error on the property record, and that's why it's not populating. You can also go back and search a slightly different way. You do have a wildcard search. The way that the system works, if you start to type in the drop-down box, you're getting everything that starts with your entry in that county. So I'm getting every street name that starts with lake in both of these counties when I start to type in the search field. The wildcard search is a percentage sign. So if I put the percentage sign before the word, instead of getting starts with, I'm getting every street name in those counties that contain lake instead of starts with lake. For example, if you've got a property on North Lake, you're talking to somebody on the phone and they say that they live at 2500 North Lake, and you're not that familiar with that area, you're not sure if north is the direction, if it's North Lake one word or North Lake 2 words. If you use the percentage sign and lake, you should get that result the first time. So I put in the 2500 and a space, the percentage sign and lake, and then I'm going to see the correct option in the drop-down box the first time I search, instead of having to search several different ways. You can still do searches using more than one field. You just have to do it a slightly different way. So let's say you know the subdivision they live in and you know their last name. If you type in the subdivision name, click submit, I'm going to get every property in that subdivision on my results page. And now on your new results page, you can modify your results from this screen without having to go back. So at this point, I can add the owner's name and hit enter or update results. And I'm going to get the property that I'm looking for, that property address with that owner's last name, and I can click on the address to go straight to the property report. So I told you that the default for the search field is owner's name. If you find that you are searching by street more frequently or parcel ID, then that is something you can change in your profile and settings, which is why mine keeps going back to street. I find that I search by street number and street name more frequently than owner's name. So in the profile and settings, you can click on search criteria and you choose which default you want that to be each time until you feel like you want to go back and change it. Again, just make sure you save your changes once before you leave this page. Use the back button that we provide you, back to previous page. And now every time you go to do a search, it will default to your selected search criteria. We've only slightly moved your foreclosure search. It's right next to the property search. So when you get to the simple search page, it will default to the property search. If you want to do a foreclosure only search, You'll click on foreclosure. You still have all the same fields that you had before. You can search by defendant. As you start to type into the box, you're going to get the eligible foreclosed properties that match your entry, just like on that simple search page. Scroll to the bottom and click submit, and it will take you to the same results page that you see from the simple search and the advanced search. You can still choose up to 3 counties, just like on all of the searches throughout the system. To get back to the property search, you'll simply click on property. And we've moved the advanced search down right below your simple search, the little gray bar right below this. The advanced search has all the same fields that you had previously. We've simply added the ability to search up to 3 counties. You have these broken up into sections so that you can submit from each section when you've completed the form. We've also added the ability to search by MLS listing status. So if you check one of these boxes, you're only going to see the properties that are for sale, sold, pending, or contingent through Georgia MLS. So basically, you're just getting the same data that you would see it in Georgia MLS if you select one of those MLS listing statuses. This works the same way that it did before. We've just, again, added that drop-down box that will populate. You have to make sure you're searching in the correct county, as always. And then as you start to type, you'll see your selection in the drop-down box. From the advanced search, you can actually search more than one subdivision at a time. Once you select it make your selection from the drop-down box, you can start to type again and then choose another subdivision. You can use this page just like you could before to pull all the sales in the last year in a subdivision. And I'm going to do that so I can show you your results page and how to customize that from here. So I'm going to choose the sales within the last year. So now I'm getting all tax recorded sales in the last year in this subdivision. If I scroll down to that MLS listing status and click on sold, I just changed that from all the tax recorded sales to all of the MLS sales in the last year. Then I can click submit to go to our results page. Your number of properties is going to be in the top left corner. Your legend is the same as it was in the old system. Green means for sale, sold, pending, contingent through Georgia MLS. When you see those icons next to a property, this means that it sold through the MLS. I can hover my mouse over the icon. It's going to give me the status through the MLS. In this case, it's sold date and sold price. And then you can also click on that MLS listing number to pull the listing through Georgia MLS up in a new window. Like I mentioned before, you can now modify your results from the results page. Since we came here from the advanced search, all of the ways to modify my criteria on the left side are coming from that advanced search criteria. The MLS listing status, as you saw at the top of the page, we have 11 sales in the last year through the MLS. If I hover my mouse over this additional search criteria, I can X out of that MLS listing status, and it's going to pull all the properties that have sold in the last year through tax records. So basically, I just unchecked that box for sold on the previous page by Xing out of that MLS list status. So now, instead of having 11 properties, I have 14 properties. Those extra few properties can be foreclosures, for sale by owner, or possibly it's sold through a different MLS. A big reason you have a tax software is so that you can see all the sales in the county, whether it went through the MLS or not. Okay, let's talk about some of the customizations that you can make on this results page. Right now you're looking at the results in a simple search, a simple results list view. You have simple results and custom results. If I click on custom results, I'm going to see the list with several other columns here. I've got owner name, subdivision, parcel ID, improvement type, and lot. This is something that you can customize in the profile and settings as well. If you like the custom results, and you can actually add up to 10 columns in your custom results, and we'll go over that in just a couple of minutes. You can add things like bedrooms and baths, building square footage, last sale date and sale price, last assessed value. The other customization you have here is for the map view. So if I open the map view, now I can see all the properties in my list and where they're located on the map. You're going to see the first 15 properties on the map, so if you have multiple pages of results, you'll see 15 at a time. You can hover your mouse over the number. It's going to give you some basic details on the property, owner's name, address, last sale date, and sale price. You can click on View Report from here to go to that property report in a new window. You can also click on the MLS report to pull that listing up in a new window, or you can go to View and List below and it would take us down to that property in the list. The numbers next to each property in the list are also interactive. So if you click on the number, it's going to zoom into that property on the map. You also can identify the parcels that are not notated by a number, the ones that are not in your list, by right-clicking in the parcel. This is really helpful if you're having trouble finding a property. You find it using the simple search, but you know the street that it's on, or you know a street close by. You can click and drag to pan the map, right-click on the parcel, and then you'll know right away why you couldn't find it using that simple search. Maybe there's a typo, maybe there's a space where it didn't belong. That right-click feature is huge, just to identify the properties around your listings or a for sale by owner property that you drove by. You're used to seeing this map in a satellite view. You can still change that on the toolbar on the right side. You've got the little gear in the middle of the toolbar. The default will be the road view, but you also have the aerial view, which is that satellite image of the property. And then you also have a bird's eye view. So that bird's eye view is a photographic image of the parcel. You can zoom in. This is an angled view, so on this view you aren't going to pay too much attention to those parcel lines. This is for the sole purpose of getting a photographic image of the property. Once you're on that view, you can rotate 360 degrees around the parcel. And then when you're ready to change it back, you can hover your mouse over the gear and click on the aerial view. Now, if you want to change some of these things permanently, of course, we're going to go up to the profile and settings. So if you like this view and you want to see it every time you come to the results page without having to click on the map view, without having to change the view of the map by clicking on the gear, you're going to go up to Profile and Settings. You can start with the Custom Results list. Make sure the Custom View is checked. And then you can uncheck the boxes for the columns that you don't want and check up to 10 that you do want. Like I said before, you can check things like bedrooms and baths, building square footage, last appraisal. Anywhere you see the word appraisal throughout the tax software, it's referring to the last tax assessed value. You can click on last sale date and sale price, and then you can even move these from left to right on your results page by clicking on the cross on the right and dragging those up or down to put them in the order that you want them. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that you click save before you leave the page. You only have to click save once from any section, but just make sure you click it once before you leave the page. If I scroll down a little bit, we can go down to our map list view. If you want to see that map open every time you get to a results page, you can click on map view. And then if you want to change the view of your map on any page throughout the system, you can click on the aerial view as well. My recommendation would be to choose the aerial view or the road view. Those two work best with your parcel lines as well as all of the layers and measurement tools on your map. So the road view or the aerial view are probably your best bet there. And of course, click save before you leave the page. I'm going to go back to the previous page, which will take us back to our results. My columns have updated, so now I can see all the extra columns of data. You can still modify your list the same way as before by checking the boxes next to the property and keeping or removing those. You can still print the list at the bottom of the page, export the list to Excel, or mail to properties, and we'll cover the prospecting at the end of this class. All right, we're going to go to a property report. I'm going to click on property search to get us back to that simple search page. I can go to my saved reports and click on the property address, and it will take me directly to that property report. To save a report, just like it was called bookmark before, you click save report and you'd be able to click on that property address every time you get to your simple search page. You can email, save, and print, and you can do that in a condensed version or original. The condensed version is in really small font to try and compress that to one page. Sometimes if you've got a lot of sales history or mortgage history, that can still roll over to the top few lines of the second page. You actually can control that. You can customize your property report by clicking on the arrow next to that section, and it will remove that section altogether when you print. If you've got a lot of sales history or mortgage history, you can minimize those sections by clicking on the Minimize tab, and you'll only see the most recent. Or you can, of course, remove those altogether by clicking on that drop-down arrow. One of the big changes that we've made on this property report is in the property summary section. So this square footage is usually the original building footprint that the builder turned into the assessor's office, which means sometimes there can be a discrepancy between the actual square footage and the tax recorded square footage. Now you can edit this field. You are the only person that can see these changes. The assessor can't see it, your neighbor can't see it, the county doesn't see it. Everybody has a unique login when they log into Georgia MLS and come to CRS. You would be the only person that can see a change that you've made here. If you make a change here, it will affect your comparable report. The default parameter for square footage on the comparables is that you get comps within 20% of the square footage of your subject property. If you change the value here, your comps will be within 20% of the new value that you entered. This will also affect the estimated market price based on the average cost per square foot. And we'll go over that a little bit more when we get to the comparables. Typically, the only reason you're going to make a change here for the comps is if they've added square footage to the property by adding an improvement and the assessor simply hasn't updated it on the tax records yet. To change the square footage, you'll click on Edit, type the new square footage into the box, and then you'll have to click on your Tab key or Enter to get that value to stick. If you want to change it back, all you have to do is hover your mouse over the number, click here to revert back to the original value, and it's going to change that back to that tax recorded value. The other area you can change on the property report is down in the property characteristics section. You can also edit the bedrooms and baths as well as the total square footage. If you change the bedrooms and baths, it will also affect your comparables. You'll get within one bedroom and one bathroom of what's listed in your property characteristics section. If you change the total square footage, this will not affect your comparables. So all I had to do was click in the box. I can change the total square footage here and it will not affect my comparables. Once I click Tab or Enter, I'll have a disclaimer that populates telling me the building characteristics have been edited. I'll also have a place to take notes for why I changed them. And then you can click here to revert back to the original values. The other changes on this report are mostly aesthetic changes. Anything you see in blue is either a link or it's a field that you can edit. On the map, now you have the ability to expand the map in the top left corner. It's just giving you a larger version of this map. You can still scroll or click the Zoom In tab. You can still change the view by clicking on the gear. This is for printing purposes only, so any layers or measurement tools, the right-click feature, to access all of those functions, you do have to go to View Larger Map right below this map, and that will open up your Bing Maps. You still have all the same functionality that you had before on the Bing Maps. We've simply moved the tools around. The top left corner is where you can change the layers. You have a layer for recent sales just like before. So you can choose to see sales in the last 3 months, 6 months, all the way up to two years. You have your labels. If these labels are grayed out just like before, all you have to do is zoom in a little bit on the map, and you will be able to click on those labels that will label each parcel. You have one for deeded acreage, system calculated acreage, owner name, property address, parcel ID, last sale date and sale price, and then those dimensions will default to being on so you can see those lot dimensions. You have a listing layer. Again, that's just going to reference the MLS listing status through Georgia MLS. Your foreclosures, flood zones, and then the topo map. And again, all of those you've had before. On the right side of the map, that's where you'll find your measurement tool, a little ruler icon. For latitude, longitude, you can measure distance and area just like on your power tools. And then that map icon is your print, email, save, and copy. Now when you print the map, if you've added any of the layers or labels, or you've drawn on the map, drawn a measurement on the map, those will print. When you print, email, save, or copy, you will see all of those layers and measurements. It will also print as a full page instead of the top third of the page. And then if you're clicking around the map and you somehow lose your subject property, we've added this little location icon in the middle of the toolbar on the right. That will take us directly back to our parcel on the map. Then to get back to our property report, we'll click on Back to Property Report. And notice you do have that location icon on this map as well. So I think we've all accidentally rolled our mouse over this map and ended up looking at a view of the world. Now we can simply click on that location icon and it will zoom us right back into our parcel. So you're always going to navigate throughout your property report by using the blue ribbon at the top of the page. You've got comparables, prospecting. Your facts and figures is where we've put all the reports that you used to have. There used to be tabs at the top right for subdivision info, demographics, school reports. All of those have moved to the facts and figures. If you didn't know about these before, don't be afraid to go in and click around on those reports. We've also added this area sales trend report and area sales detail, as well as some of the reports that were in the commercial power tool. So these are coming from our appraiser power tool and commercial power tool. So you have a one-stop shop. That directions link I was mentioning when we were in the profile and settings earlier, you've got your map directions. Whatever address you have in your map direction starting point will default to your starting point in MapQuest when you click on the directions link from the facts and figures. It will also auto-populate the property address that you're clicking on MapQuest from. So it's going to auto-populate my map direction starting point and then the property address that I'm working on, just so I can quickly print it or hit start if you're using it from your phone. Just a little bit of a time saver. Your comparables link is also in this blue ribbon at the top of the page. So if I click on comparables, your default parameters are the same as they were before. You still have your 3 market prices at the top left. Still have the number of properties in your list at the top of the page as well. The map is a big change on the comps, and it's really exciting because now the map on The comparables is also interactive, and we'll go over that in just a minute. Graphs are the same. The parameters are all the same as before, except that we've added to the improvement type and land use. These are going to default to being blank. If you want to use those, your best bet is going to be to go to a property report, look in your property summary at the land use and improvement type, and then copy those into the comparables. You want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, so just make sure you're searching by the right land use and improvement type. Every county is different in how they record those, so just quickly look in the property summary, and then you can add that to the comparables if you're working on a report where you have over 15 properties and you're trying to narrow that down a little bit. When I said the map is interactive, the numbers work the same as on the results page. Hover your mouse over the number to get some details on the property. Down in your list, if you click on the number next to the property, it's going to zoom into that property on the map. And then probably the most exciting new feature on the comps is that now you can draw a polygon on the map to define your area for your comparables instead of scrolling down and manually going through your list by looking at the subdivision name or the area that it's located in. To do that, you're going to click on the magnifying glass, go to polygon, and this works like your measurement tool did in the old product. You're just going to click along the parcels you're trying to include. If you need to go off your map view, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. So I'm just clicking and moving my mouse. I'm not holding the keys down, I'm just clicking and moving the mouse until I have completed the polygon. And you can complete it by clicking on the red dot or by double clicking. As long as your polygon crosses over the parcel just barely, it will include it in your search. So if you want to go over the like half of the last row of homes that you want to include, you'll make sure that the right houses are included in your search, the right parcels. So you can click on include this shape, and now I'm only going to have the parcels that were in my polygon in my comparable report. You can do this as many times as you need to. If you need to make sure that your comps are only on one side of a highway or on one side of a street, if you know of another subdivision that's close by that has comparables, you can simply click and drag the map, scroll over to that other subdivision, and do the same thing. Hover your mouse over the magnifying glass, click on polygon, and then draw another shape. You still have the same three market prices: average cost per square foot, the house price index, and average sale price tax appraisal ratio. You can click here for explanations of those estimates, the breakdown, and as well as the equations. You can print, email, and save this report. If one market price makes more sense on a report than the other two, you can X out of the two that you don't want, and when you print this, it will only print with the value that you want to draw attention to, as well as that explanation. One more thing that goes along with this comparable page is your refined values tab. So this is a new function. I'm going to click on refined values. This is a way for you to add an improvement that they're either thinking about doing to the property or have already done. It's a way for you to show them the percentage of return, the actual percentage of return that they're going to get back on that improvement. This is coming from a company called Metro Study. The link for their website is costvalue.com, and it's located right above Metro Study. To do this, you're going to click on the drop-down arrow. It is based on region. I believe that this region includes about 5 or 6 states. So let's say they're thinking about doing a roofing replacement. You can scroll down and choose the improvement they're thinking about doing from the drop-down box, or start to type. Go over to the amount spent, put in the value, choose a mid or high quality improvement, and then calculate the value. So now I'm going to see that percentage of return on their investment estimated percentage of return. Then if they've already done the improvement and they're insisting on seeing how that value is being added back into their comparable report, you do have to scroll down to save the value. Once you save it, you will be redirected back to your comparables. Instead of having 3 values here, I'm going to have a 4th value. That refined home value is simply adding that refined value that we calculated into the average cost per square foot. That's the default. It's going to add that $6,700 into the average cost per square foot that was already calculated when we did our comparable report. If that is not the value you're trying to use for this report, that's something else that you can change in your profile and settings. You'll click on Profile and Settings, go to Home Improvement, and you can choose the average sale price tax appraisal ratio and save it, and that will be your default until you go back in and change it. Go back to the previous page. Now my refined home value and average sale price tax appraisal ratio are both italicized, so I know which values it's adding that refined value into. And then if you want to remove that, you'll just go to the Refined Values tab. You can click Delete Improvement, and then make sure you save that again. And you'll go back to just those 3 estimated market prices. The last thing we're going to go over is your prospecting. I'm going to click on the Prospecting tab from the blue ribbon. You can do that from a property report. Usually when you're prospecting, you do have a starting point in mind. Either you just listed a property or just sold a property, and you're trying to send postcards to that subdivision or a radius around that property. You can go to the prospecting from the Prospecting tab at the top right, but if we click on Prospecting from a property report, that's going to give us our starting point when we have to choose our geographic area. So once I click on Prospecting, now I have a second blue ribbon, and that's going to help me define the area that I want to search. Again, you do have to choose up to 3 counties, but you do have to choose your county. Default is the area map. This works just like the polygon on our comparables. If you want to define your prospecting area by drawing on the map, you're going to click on that magnifying glass and polygon and draw your area just like we did on the comps. You can choose zip code. Since we came to the prospecting from the blue ribbon on the property report, when I click on each of these fields, it's going to automatically select the zip code. It will automatically pull over that street name, subdivision name, making it just a little bit fewer steps. You can click on radius. It's going to automatically populate that property address. It will default to a 1 mile radius. You can change that by clicking on the drop down. You can go 1/4 of a mile all the way up to 10 miles. And once you've chosen which way you want to prospect, you'll click Update. We'll have to select that was in fact our starting point. And you'll see we have reduced 4 clicks from this process. Your prospect criteria and list are all on the same page. So once you've populated your list, your number of properties is listed below. As you start to change criteria, so if I put in residential properties here, which if you're doing a radius search, you definitely want to make sure that you're going to choose that residential property type if that's what you're searching for. So once I change that field, my list will automatically update. If I wanted to add a last sale date, so I'm only seeing the properties that haven't sold in the last 3 years, so they've lived in their property for at least 3 years, I can go to sale date, choose that year, select a day, and then my list will automatically populate. One of the great new features we've added here as well is the ability to just quickly remove the solds within the last 6 months if you only wanted to go back with people that have lived in their house for at least 6 months. You can click on Currently for Sale, and it's going to automatically remove anything currently listed through Georgia MLS from your list. And then all active listings will also remove the pending and contingent properties from the list. Same as before, you've always had the option to search only absentee owner properties or owner occupied. We determine those by the property address and the mailing address that's on file at the tax assessor's office. So if the mailing address and property address are the same, it's going to be an owner-occupied property. If they're different, that's how we determine that owner or that absentee owner, either in-state or out-of-state. Once you're happy with your list, and you can still go through your list and manually remove properties, so I can check the box, go on to the next page and keep removing the properties that I don't want. When you're doing that, you only have to scroll down and click remove or keep checked once. And then when you're happy with your list, you can proceed to the labels and exports. Nothing on this page has changed, except that we're going to show you how many properties you're about to export or how many labels you're about to print. If you're unfamiliar with the old prospecting tool, again, your help tab, you have several video tutorials. One of those is for the prospecting tab, and it is actually very helpful. So before you go back and try to prospect or do a comparable report or use those mapping features, you can just watch that quick 2 to 4 minute video and give you a little refresher on those different sections. And then of course the contact us is at the bottom of every page throughout the system. Or if you want to send a quick email, you can use that feedback tab. I really appreciate you sitting in on the transition webinar today. I hope you found it helpful and enjoy CRS's new MLS Tax Suite.